Lady Cracklock Agatha. This is Charles Peterson of the Department of Otherworld Affairs. I just wanted to check that my agent made it over to this other place or whatever it is. Do you have any news? An excerpt from page 294 of Alice and the Mirror Glass by C.A. Deegan. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and to the review of Alice and the Mirror Glass by Craig Deegan. This is the third book in the series of the Cracklock Saga book series after discovering the first book, Far or Full, which was quite very interesting to me, and after reading The Lost and the Departed, I'm so excited to pick up what happened and to know how the story is developed in the third book series, Alice and the Mirror Glass. My review of this book is actually going to be spoiler-free. I won't be talking too much about it, and I'll be specifically leaving some information aside in an attempt to make it spoiler-free. But before I proceed in my review, I'd love to read to you the short inscription at the back page of the book, which I consider as the synopsis. A plea for help, long-lost family member and shadowy organization all bent on stopping a terrible threat they think is a fake. Jack and his friends are really in trouble this time. What has Jack's dad really been up to? And the Cracklock have got their hands on something they shouldn't, something they don't understand, something that they should have left well alone. And when fame, glamour don't work, what can be done to save the day? And that's what you stand to experience in Alice and the Mirror Glass. That's what you stand to experience in this fantastic third book in the series of the Cracklock Saga. And before I proceed in my review, I'd love to say that I so much love this book. I love Craig Deegan's style of writing. I love his storytelling techniques. I love his use of words. I love his characterization. I love the transition and the placement of each punctuation mark. Truly makes for a fantastic read, truly make for an interesting discussion. And in my own opinion, this book, the Cracklock Saga book series, is actually gonna make a good thing. I love the writing style. It reads quite interestingly, it reads quite dynamic, and I am so much looking forward to see how the story is continued in the fourth book series, Dear Sorrows. So following on from the capture and the release of the Cracklocks in Agatha's abode in The Lost and the Departed, and also following on from the sort of a strange call that Asa received from someone supposedly believed to be a Cracklock family member in the US, it's quite enthralling, it's quite fascinating to see how the story is developed in the third book series, Alice and the Mirror Glass. So the whereabouts of David is one of the crucial things that is being talked about in this third book series. The whereabouts of David is something that quite a lot of people have been wanting to get, wanting to know, wanting to find out what it's up to, what he's going to do in the third book series. And here, there's a sort of a disparity, a sort of a difference now, because David's whereabouts is now being sought after by three different people. First of all, by Agatha Cracklock, who is desperately searching for David in order to stop him from stopping them to destroy the Rem Pillar. You know, the Cracklock, that's Agatha, the crew of Agatha, Anastasia, Marcia, all of them are desperately looking forward to destroy the Rem Pillar, which is actually a pillar that holds both realms together. And once it's destroyed, everything gets destroyed. And so David is trying to stop the Cracklocks from destroying this Rem Pillar. That's the first people looking for David. The second people looking for David are the supposed people who called themselves the Department of Otherworld Affairs to the United States. These particular people are actually more or less like an organization who control the extraterrestrial invasion. This organization was formed following on the horrific, memorable, and the terrible event that happened in America in the book in 1947, where whereby they had a sort of a strange, unexplainable, indiscernible, and terrible extraterrestrial occurrence in America. And so this organization has spotted David and they are desperately looking for him. They actually have a sort of a misperception, a misconception of whom David is. They thought he was a time traveler moving back and forth in time to destroy the world. And so the other people who are desperately searching for David are his dear family members. They are Jack, Sammy, AC, Darkat, Jimmy, etc. They are desperately looking for David. Once they got to know that he's stuck in the mirror realm, they are trying their possible best, making a lot of research to have him back to themselves. Following on the quest of this series section of people looking desperately for David, and that's one of the things that I love about the book. It really made for an interesting discussion. It made for an interesting read, and I so much love the transition that happened between these three seekers. First of all, the Department of the Otherworld Affairs has sent someone like an agent to visit Agatha's abode because they actually have a sort of a wrong idea, a wrong notion that Agatha had the possession of David Cracklock. And so once this particular agent that they've sent over to Agatha's house visited her and said, okay, I'm here, I'm from the Department of Otherworld Affairs from the United States, and I'm here to retrieve David. We've got to know that David is hiding here in your home, and I'm here to take him back to our organization because we need him to answer some queries concerning some certain event that happened in America. And Agatha was like, I think you've made a wrong decision. David is not here. I don't know where he is. So after they had a sort of a heated conversation, exchanging what they're about, Agatha made it known to the supposed agent that David is under the control of a son, Obadiah, and so she had to call a sort of a probably a big fee to pursue the officer away, otherwise they'll have to kill him. And so the officer had to leave after being threatened. He went back to Charles Peterson, which is more or less like the head of this part, not really the head of the particular agent, but is working hand in hand, making a lot of extensive research about extraterrestrial being and the invasion of these beings in America. And so once the agent got back to Charles Peterson, he reported that this is what came out of it. But before that, I love the sort of a conversation that happened between Anastasia and Agatha. Anastasia was like, you never told me that David is under the control of Obadiah. You never told me that Obadiah has been looking over David, whom we've been seeking for over this long. Now, I deserve to know some information. I'm tired of being kept in silence. We are in all of this together. I've been working for you all this while. Why should you hide this from me? And Agatha was like, oh, come on, he's being aired by Obadiah. Obadiah is actually controlling him. But realization dawned on him when Agatha called for Obadiah and asked him about David. How is David doing? Obadiah was like, oh, he's in the mirror realm, stuck in the mirror realm, and he has been sleeping for over 11 years. Agatha is actually a fast thinker. She had to ask Obadiah that, okay, if David is stuck in the mirror realm, and so according to you, he has been sleeping for over 11 years, then who is changing that lamp over there that I'm seeing? So realization dawned on Obadiah, and it was like, nobody's changing the lamp. Then Agatha said, do you see how foolish you are? It's not possible for that lamp to have been burning for 11 years. Somebody should have been there to add some oil or to change it. Agatha had to arrange for another fae whom they sent into the mirror realm to look after David or to check what is actually happening there. While the fae went on the journey, they sat back in their house to watch what is happening, and it was very clear that what Obadiah is supposed to be David, who has been lying down for 11 years, is actually a glamour lying down there. David is no more there. Well, there's a sort of a switch as to if David is still in the mirror realm or not in the mirror realm. But based on the introduction part of the book, and based on this part and aspect of the review, it has been known that David is not in the mirror realm. So Agatha think of what to do, and she came up with a concept that it would be fun to work with the so-called Department of Otherworld Affairs, since they are also in search of getting David. And so she placed a call over to Peterson and said, okay, I think I have a sort of a proposition. We can work together. I know where David is, and I can work together with you if you are willing. So Peterson gave in into Agatha's proposition, and this leads to their coalition. And so Peterson sent some agents over to Agatha, and Agatha deceived them to travel to the mirror realm, knowing fully well that it's a sort of a one journey. It's a journey of no return. If you get to the mirror realm, there's no way you can come back to the other realm. So it's a one-way journey. But it did not mention it to the officer while they were about to leave. It was when they got there and she was about to close the graph travel that she mentioned and said, okay, don't worry, I'll get you out together with David once you found him. Just let me know where you found him. But Agatha was actually using that trick to also get them stuck there, just to have them working for her in search for David. So falling on into another sort of transition, the Department of the Otherworld Affairs have actually come to know that a man is actually very close to David, and that is Nate Cracklock. And so they had to sort for Nate Cracklock to arrest him. After Nate Cracklock had been arrested, dawned on Alice, who is actually the granddaughter of Nate Cracklock. She got to know that wherever she goes to, something in the CCTV camera that is monitoring her. Wherever she finds herself, she could have the feeling that some people are watching over her. Is this some people that kidnapped her father, Nate? So this Department of Otherworld Affairs actually took Nate with the hope of getting information about David from him. They know quite well through the monitoring and well-versed technology, equipment and skill that Nate had had a conversation with David a day before. Following on the capture of Nate have actually gave Alice a sort of a paper to call AC in England and tell her to come to their help. And so once Alice put a call across to AC, at first they have a thought feeling that, are you sure this person is not working Agatha to have us captured again? But as time goes on, they begin to find the truth. They begin to find the reality. And AC was able to come to Alice's rescue. And from Alice, they got information about where David is supposed to be. They got information that the Alice's father, Nate, is actually a friend to David, and will also have some information about David's whereabouts. And from here, Sammy, Jack, AC, Dorcas, all of them, Jimmy, were so much interested to find Nate and to find David. So at this particular time, they had to travel all the way through realm travel from England back to America in search for David. So while they were in front of the mirror, whereby Nate have actually have a conversation with David in time past, and while they were still getting to know the information that David was giving to them, they had a sort of a terrible bang. This black man came and seized them, and that's how they were being transported to the facility of the Department of Otherworld Affairs. Dorcas and Poppy had found their way also into the helicopter with hope to rescue their friends. And this part actually read quite amazingly. It reminded me of the first time capture that the Cracklock have in Agatha's abode. So while the other Cracklock were being arrested, brought to the Department of Otherworld facility and trucked into different sort of cell, Nate was over there together with Peterson Charles, giving him quite a lot of information, everything he knows about David. And you know, Peterson has actually told Nate that if you tell us where David is, then I'm gonna release your daughter Alice. And so Nate told him everything he ever knew about David. He told him about the boatman. He told him quite a lot of things. He told him about their visit in Vietnam. He told him about how David disappeared during the last time of visit, and quite everything in total sincerity. But when Nate come to realize that Peterson is not going to release him, despite the fact that he has told him everything he ever knew about David, he was quite angry with Peterson's deceitfulness, and as such, he was so vexed. So after the whole thing, they were being kept in the same cell, but not far from each other. So once they got to the cell, Asa was able to communicate to Jimmy in another cell, and Jimmy to Jack, and Jack to Alice, and Alex to Nate, and etc. They were able to know that, oh yeah, they were being captured in this facility and they began to think of a way to escape. However, while the whole act was going on in the cell, Sammy was over there having a conversation with Peterson, and from the conversation that Sammy had with Peterson, she told him that, oh, it's very funny to know that you were able to cooperate with Agatha. That woman will not help anybody. You are so foolish to be deceived. And by the way, you sent your officers to the mirror realm. That's what we've been trying to do. We've been trying to get David out of there. And please get to know this. David is not your enemy. My husband meant no harm. He's just trying to prevent the Cracklock from destroying the realm pillar. And from here, Sammy got to know that she has given quite a lot of information away. But then, Peterson come to realize that there's some degree of truth in what Sammy is telling him. He got to realize that there's some degree of reality in what Sammy is telling him. And immediately he picked his phone and placed a call to Agatha. The beginning of the conversation was what I made mention in the Excerpt section of this review, when it was like, Agatha Cracklock, this is Charles Peterson calling from the DOA. I just wanted to check to know if my agent made it over there to the other realm, you call it whatsoever. So Peterson began to get some knowledge, following on what Sammy told him about the agent deceased, following on from the information he has gathered so far from Sammy. He began to get some knowledge and he said, okay, you can go back to your other friends in the cell. However, I would love to leave this review a spoiler-free, and I'd love to leave you to want to know if the Cracklock escaped the second time. I want you to check out if the Cracklock were able to escape from the Department of Otherworld facility. I'd also want you to check out, just like I'm curious and full of suspense to find out more about this book, In Their Sorrows. I want to see what happens of Agatha Cracklock. I want to see what happened between the coalition and cooperation they have together with the Department of Otherworld Affairs. I want to see how Peterson will react after getting to know that Agatha has deceived him to take his officer into the mirror realm in hope of having David back, but going there to be stopped. I want to see how the stories continue, getting to know that Peterson eventually find the truth about Agatha. I love the captive part of this story. It read quite interestingly and it reminded me of the Fox time capture. Though I won't be talking too much about this aspect, but I'd love to say that this part read quite cynically. It read as if I was watching a movie, and it is very, very hilarious. Some point I found myself laughing all alone reading some aspects of the book. And I love characters like Rolly. I love his indulgence. I love his quick and smart intervention. I love Dorcas. And there are a lot of things that happened in this in the Department of Otherworld Affairs. Talk about the feed generator, talk about the lab, talk about the security man, talk about how the whole story goes through. Alice and the Mirror Glass again proves Craig Deegan's adeptness. Honestly, I'm a lover of his work. I love his use of words. I love his storytelling techniques. And this book actually owns my honest praise. It is one of those fantastic fantasy novels I've ever read. In my opinion, this book will make a good film. It also deserves to win a prize in my own perception. And I so much love Craig's writing. I love the placement of every word. I love the way it tells a story. I love the transition. I love the characterization. The book has quite a lot of amazing characters. Some of them are funny, some of them are amazing, some of them are terrible, some of them are hateful, some of them are lovely. But I'm sad getting to know about the death of Familiar. And this is one of those things that keep me longing forward, seeking to know how this book is continued in Their Sorrow. I wouldn't love to talk much about it. I just want to give you a short video book review just for you to have an idea of what is contained in Alice and the Mirror Glass. For you to have a full understanding of this book, I'd advise that you start from the first book series, Far of 4, and then you can pick up the second one, Lux and the Departed, before coming into this fantastic Alice and the Mirror Glass. If you'd like to get a copy of these books, I left a link in the description part of this video to Craig Deegan's author page on Amazon, where you can actually get a copy of the book. So if you watch this video to this point and you have to click on the subscribe button, I want to urge you to please click on the subscribe button over there. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you can get notified anytime I release new videos. And I'm looking forward to reading the 4th book series, Dear Sorrows, of the Cracklock Saga book series. Honestly, this book is fantastic. It is amazing. It is beyond my description. It is one of those fantastic fantasy novels that I've read so far. What much can I say about this book? You just have to go out there and get a copy. I love it and I give it a 5 over 5 star review. Thank you so much for watching my short review of Alice and the Mirror Glass. See you in my next video. Goodbye.